Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Accountant, your weekly live place to be to get all the insights for the accounting and bookkeeping industry. As always, start that again. Welcome to episode 103. These numbers are getting bigger. It is the 21st of October in 2024, just to clarify for those listening back to us at a later date. And as always, I'm joined by Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you and how's your week been?
Hello, everybody. Hello. Yeah, good week. Down in London again, shock horror. Thankfully, I'm not in London this week, so I get a nice little rest off. We'll talk about where I was and everything in the news section when we talk about through there. But yeah, it was good weekend as well, apart from the Formula 1. Well, Formula 1 was fun to watch and enjoy, just the controversies that frustrate us, don't they? Having Max cheat his way to victory again is a step too far for me. But yeah, apart from that, all good. What about yourself, Johann? A good weekend, I hope, and good week?
Quite a quiet weekend. Spent a bit of time in the office wiring on a little bit jungle-like, if I'm honest. And there's some changes behind me. On the wall at the moment that will be dealt with later today with Amazon TV mount, and turns up with my new Apple TV. So yes, just a bit of continuous evolution, shall we say, which is always the best part of a space that is your own, is you can continuously evolve it. But yeah, no, not a bad week. Engager Labs went live to the public, and we'll cover that later. Aaron, I think you spent most of your weekend. Well, I mean, you spend most of your life in London. So why don't you tell the people what you were doing in London this last week?
Yeah, certainly. Before we do that, let's just jump into the comment section. Our number one community. So Natasha's there. Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Cheryl. Plaster molds will cover your question later. Mal, good morning to you, Plaster Moldings. Dave's here saying good morning. It's nice to see you at the Vault as well. Kirsty, good morning, Kirsty. And again, great to see you as well there, Dave. And choppy signal up north, says Paul to Johan. So yeah, it's going.
I can do.
Yeah, it's going in and out at the moment, but we'll crack on with it. But yeah, no, it was great. And as Dave said there, it was great to see Dave at the event as well. So it was good to see him there. We went to the Vault launch event. So anyone who doesn't know, one of our great co-hosts or has been a former co-host, Ariona, has launched her new business venture called Vault. Partnered with some really, really cool apps, some of the best ones on the market. And the idea then is to give an opportunity for other accountants to become digitalized. So not aimed at likes of you, me, or probably most people listening to this pod today, but for those, as we all know, those ones stuck in a bit of the dark ages, if you like. But she actually gives not only opportunity to help them actually digitalized, but actually has a team behind her to help them actually do the things like migrate the software, move things around, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant little new initiative. Great swag bag as well. So that was good to see. Great to kind of have that opportunity to network with people as well. And just a good time all around. It was nice to go there without having to be on stage or create an event or have to do any socials or anything like that. I just got to turn up as a punter, if you like, and I had a really, really good event. So yeah, well made event for Ariona. It was in QuickBooks itself, so in the middle of Victoria. So that was nice to see. Nice to kind of go back to the office and stuff and see all the QuickBooks employees there. Yeah, just a really, really good time. So yeah, good fun all around. What do you think to it, Johan? Do you think Vault's a recipe for success?
I mean, let's face it. She comes from a background where she's done it herself. There's a lot of business coaches out there that are plugging something they've not actually done, they've just read about. So the fact that she has gone into her own family's firm, completely modernized it, like, kudos to her and full credibility to her. Like, if anyone's going to tell you, like me telling you how to modernize your firm, so yeah, I know how my firm it runs, but it was modern from day one.
Yeah, exactly.
I've not gone through that journey of taking an older fashioned firm and modernizing it completely. So the fact that she's done that, I think, yeah, if anyone's got the experience and knowledge to be able to give value and support these firms, then it's definitely her.
Yeah, 'cause she's got stories of where some of her clients would jump on a plane to drop off records. Like they're literally getting in an airplane, fly over, drop the records off, and then fly back. You know, and I think she said it was like 3,000 clients in the peak or something that she had of these manual record clients. Like moving those over is no small like job, is it? Like that is a big effort. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying what she said on the day on a PowerPoint presentation, but she said that if she was to kind of put down the hours it spent on her spending time and her team spending time and all the costs and everything else, she's looking at 1.5 million worth of costs to get that firm digitalized. So obviously she knows what to do and what not to do. She's seen it, been there, like you've already said, like been there, got a t-shirt. So yeah, it's brilliant story. And the fact that she's now been able to kind of package it all together, I think it's great for the industry, great for her, and yeah, all the best for Vault going forward.
Definitely. And that wasn't anything you were in London for?
Yeah, so thankfully I also got to double up on the trip down to London, and I got to do a bit of filming as well with QuickBooks. So they're going for a very much a different approach at the moment with their film, and they're trying to keep it as relevant as they can and shoehorn the relevance in, but they also want to go for, well, let's make it a fun experience. Let's make people want to subscribe to their YouTube channel and subscribe to their elements and stuff like that. So they took 6 of us down to basically London Dungeons, Dungeon Experience it was called, and we went through a scare maze ready to go live on spooky October, going through from there. We tried to keep it relevant as possible. I gave a bit of tax advice out, so did the person who came with me, Grace. So we tried to give some tax advice to the scarers as they were going around. But yeah, there was a lot going on for it. But it was a really cool experience. Just from a, we do a lot of filming, don't we, now? And there's a lot of stuff we have to overcome in terms of the grid walk and everything else and how that works and how that's going through. So imagine a full filming crew having to go through a scare maze and the issues they may have had. So that was cool to kind of see how they were tackling the problems, tackling the darkness, tackling the being all kind of cramped up and everything else. So yeah, highly recommend when that comes out. We're going to try and do like a watch along type of thing when it finally does launch. So me, Abdul, Grace, James, Ariona as well was there, and Bev was there as well. So yeah, keep an eye out on socials for that one, because I think when that does go live, it'll be good to explain some of the shenanigans that happened from our own point of view, because we all know what a good edit can do. So yeah, it'll be good to kind of see how the edit achieved compared to actually what happened. So good fun. Yeah. Very good fun.
Having worked with a lot of the film crew QuickBooks we've used in the past, they aren't fans of one shots. Like exactly. They are not the guys that you think these, like, they'll just film it naturally and it will be edited well. Like, they like to, can we do that again? Can we do that again? I'm going to do that again, but without changing the camera angle. I just want you to say this little word extra. It's like, I'm not, like, you and I are quite good at this whole one shot thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
When it came to the QuickBooks, when they sent people to film me, they used to brief the filming crew of, Johann's a bit of a one-shot wonder. If you don't get in the first shot, you're not going to get it, because he will mess it up going forwards. But yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they've managed to come up with out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different concept, isn't it?
Capture for them, isn't it?
Yeah, and a different concept as well, because you're almost forced with these brand activations, aren't you, to talk about the latest QuickBooks product or talk about whatever the agenda is going to be, right? And this one was purely just, you know what? Even if you don't mention QuickBooks once, that's fine. Like, this is about trying to push, just our industry and trying to make it look more fun and items like that. And I really do appreciate them having a go at this. We'll see how it goes. Like, it's all going to be based on socials and performance and engagement and all that sort of stuff, isn't it? Like, that's where it's going to ultimately live or die if we ever do anything like this again. But it was, there's an opportunity there, I think, just to have a little fun with this and see what can happen going forward. And I'm really, really happy that they gave that opportunity to have a go. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Heroes Behind the Heroes was supposed to be like the bit of a what do you call it for it. Going through from there. And just noticed we've got a couple more people joining. Rachel's there. Good morning, Rachel. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Good morning to Marcus. Good morning to Tim. Paul says, looks exciting. Something I may consider as my business grows. That's Volt. He says he's known Area owner since he was first introduced to QuickBooks. He's really embraced digital accountant. Exactly right. Yeah, couldn't say it better myself. And Victoria says, good morning, chaps. Good morning, Victoria. Sue says, morning, listening whilst going to have an injection in my eye. Ouch. Hope you get better soon there, Sue.
Ouch, indeed. I mean, some people have referred to watching us as putting needles in their eyes. So Sue's literally going to compare, is this as bad as watching Ask the Accountant on Monday morning? Speaking of QuickBooks scaring people, though, I think that's a lovely little tangent onto an article of an advert that was released in the US. If you've not seen this advert, people, go and find it. In fact, Aaron will put the link in the comments for you.
Yes.
So, I don't know what's worse, the quality of the advert or the overall messaging in the advert. Either way, my understanding is it's now been taken down because it upset a lot of people. And my concern here is, if they're doing this in the US, how much longer until they try doing something stupid like this in the UK? So, and this has been that's been a concern since 2019 when QuickBooks, is it QuickBooks Live? Is that what they call it?
Yes, QuickBooks Live.
Yeah, QuickBooks Live went live in the US. So, for those that aren't aware, QuickBooks Live is QuickBooks basically offering to do the bookkeeping and the tax returns and the accounts in the US for their users. So basically bypassing accountants and bookkeepers by employing accountants and bookkeepers to do the work for them. Now in the US, they've got a whole plethora of products that really support that. They've got TurboTax, right? That's hugely powerful for their tax returns. Yeah. They've got QuickBooks and they've got QuickBooks Advanced, and it's all a lot more further ahead than what we've got in the UK in a lot of places. So instead of just having a Pro Advisor directory listing, they've got this QuickBooks Live product where one that works, but it's actually subcontracted to QuickBooks to do your bookkeeping and your tax returns for you. And in line with this, I released a video last week where they have basically said, in amongst all the cheesy, sing-along, dancey kind of antiques in the video, they basically said, move your bookkeeping, move your tax returns to us, and we will beat the price that your accountant or bookkeeper charged you last year. Funnily enough, that's resulted in some governing bodies in the US complaining to Intuit because, it's aggressive. And if you think of the marketing spend and the reach that Intuit and QuickBooks have, and TurboTax for that matter, have in the US, if I was an accountant or bookkeeper, I'd be, if I focus on just knocking out tax returns and the easier clients, those high volume, low value clients, I would be very worried about my business right now based on that advert. The advert is horrific. Like, just so cringy and cheesy, it's scary. But QuickBooks chap, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, let's go through some stats about this particular um, advert. So I just quickly looked at Business Differently with QuickBooks, which was their latest one in the UK. You remember they had the whole Frank Lampard walking out, and it was like, oh, you're a hero, but it wasn't Frank Lampard they were looking at. It was the guy behind him. It was the electrician behind. How much do you reckon views wise that got? Just for impact wise.
On what platform?
On the YouTube platform. It's the same platform I've got here.
Because that's going to be minor compared to how many views it got on ITV and Sky.
Which I know it did really well on, but on the just for comparison, it got 1.1k views, right? So fair enough, it's out there, it's there for people to kind of point to, but if that was a bad message, it probably wouldn't have done too much damage because it a relatively small amount of views. What do you think this video we're talking about got in 3 weeks? And the other one was in 9 months, I think it was. 7 months. So 3 weeks compared to 7 months.
It's America. It's a Holden culture over there. Tens of thousands of views.
Tens of thousands, yeah. 7 million views this one got.
Right, 7 million people, theoretically, because obviously some people might have watched it twice.
Yeah.
7 million people technically have just seen it saying, come and work with it. Come and give us we'll beat that price.
And that's their smallest one. Like you said, like this isn't a TV ad, right? So this is going to be watched even more by people on TV. I assume still it's the same over America as is here. So 7 million people have watched a very catchy tune, to be honest. So if you do get a chance to go out there and watch it. But yeah, this is just tone deaf, isn't it? Absolutely tone deaf. There's nothing else we can really defend with it.
Channels. Because Intuit is own football. Like they've got a whole stadium, haven't they?
Intuit Dome. Yeah. It's not a football, it's basketball, but yes.
Okay. Equally as big in the US. Like the size of the audience that's seen this now, you're looking at huge percentages of small business owners having seen that and gone, oh, that's going to save me some money.
Yeah. And you wouldn't be would still be annoyed, but if their product was like light years ahead for the consumer, right? Like if this was if the consumer used this Intuit Live or TurboTax Live, should I say, new product, TurboTax Live Expert it's called, and the consumer had this amazing experience that blew everyone away. And as accountants, we should have been embarrassed because we were so far behind in being able to deliver this technology. Then fair enough. Not fair enough, but they'd have a better argument, right, about releasing this in this tone and everything else, because they could say that, it's in the consumer's best interest. But if we look back 12 months ago, and if you've never watched it, go look at it's Accounting Cloud podcast now, is it? They've rebranded, haven't they? Might just be the Accounting podcast now. Yeah. If you go look at them, they did a video a year ago about using Turbo Live Expert, and it's not a great experience at all. Like they definitely, as from Intuit's point of view, they definitely just wanted to test the water, so they didn't put too much investment in it. They didn't. Your expectation is all in product, right? And it's all almost like an AI is dealing with it for you with a human interaction. That's what your expectation is going to be. This is Intuit, for Christ's sake, right? Like this is like you expect this, and this was a really poor user experience where they're having to go into different software. They're having to, they don't even use their own inbuilt calling solutions. It's all Zoom and everything else, and kind of going back and forwards and signing with this other platform and going into here and having to add all this stuff. It was a really poor experience, to much so that they didn't even the Turbo Live Expert people didn't even have access to their QuickBooks. Like they had to upload manually the QuickBooks P&L and the general ledger and stuff like that. It was just not what you expected. So if they had come out with a really tight thing that made us as accountants go, we've got to rethink our whole process here, otherwise we can't compete. Maybe we'd be having a different conversation here. But the fact that this product is no better than what an accountant can do anyway, maybe more scalable, that just kind of kicks you in the teeth a little bit more, doesn't it? That they've been so blatant that forget about your account. I mean, Xero did exactly the same when they released Jax, and it says you don't need an accountant, you've got Jax now.
Let's just quantify that. They didn't release Jax.
They
announced Jax.
Announced Jax, yeah. Announced that Jax will basically be taking over your need for an accountant going forward. But
should have gone live 3 months ago. That's going well.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is just tone deaf, isn't it? Unfortunately, and it's apparently had a really bad effect, because the National Association of Tax Professionals didn't only express their disappointment over the recent Intuit ad, but they're actually saying that from now on in, they won't have any conversation with TurboTax. Like, to them, TurboTax is dead unless they come back with a formal apology and everything else. So, yeah, this could be really painful for them in terms of building back that relationship.
I just thought it shows actually almost fair play to the governing body, because they've realised the significant impact that TurboTax and Intuit could have on their members' businesses.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine ICAW doing that, could you?
No, because they won't. They're still yet to be aware what QuickBooks and cloud tech is. It's a bit foreign to them, but the catastrophic effect this could have on accountants and bookkeepers is phenomenal in the US. As much as, like you've just said, but the journey's not great, the experience isn't great. We all know in the UK there are a vast majority of small businesses who don't really care about it. What they care about is the number on the bottom of your invoice every month or every year. And if that number's going to be reduced, they'll go. Even if it's just for a year, realize it's awful, and then look around again. The chances are they're not going to come back to you after that year. They're going to look around again for another cheap solution, because they won't comprehend the fact that the lower price equals a lower level of service and the lower quality of customer journey. So regardless of how good or bad the technology is, the workflow, people will not care, because what they're driven by is their bank balance.
Yeah. And I think as accountants, right, and I know your firm's the same, right? You pride yourself on trying to find a better way to help your clients in terms of their experience with accountant, right? Like, we're in a world where just delivering, your tax return isn't enough anymore. We've got to make that as a best experience as we can. We've got to try and find it to be as pain free and drop down as many of the barriers as we can to help our clients, right? But in theory, QuickBooks, Sage, Free Agent, Xero, they should be able to do a far better job than we can, because they already hold all the information. They already have all of the bits there. In theory, from a client's point of view, they should be able to download one of these apps from the App Store, and within, however long it takes them to get the information in there, they should be able to be told what their tax position is, and they should just be able to file it directly there. Like, that's the utopia, isn't it? And I know as accountants, we hate the idea of that, and I think we're a bit scared and worried about it, but there is opportunities for us to embrace that and to use that as an opportunity to help our clients more and provide a different solution for them. I just based on what the US have done, that reality is a long, long way off. And you would have thought, from a US point of view, it's even more critical for them to get that right, because everyone in the US has to file a tax return, right? At least here, it's only the select few that have to file the VAT returns that it affects, right? So yeah, the fact that they've now, because all that's going to do now is damage that development going forward, isn't it? Because that's going to be right, we're going to have to push back on it. We've got the messaging wrong, not only the product wrong, but also the messaging wrong. Like, there's no way back from that easily, is there? If one or the other was at fault, they could fight, they could help each other out. But at this point, they don't have a product and they don't have a message. So I don't see how that's going to be something that's going to really have legs. But yeah, it's really, I think it's really bad. I think it's a really bad look on the industry, isn't it? Shall we jump on the people talking in the comments?
So Bill said this. Sorry, Rachel says QuickBooks have always been putting out students for a few years now. Suggest software does it all. And the amount of times when I use, when I do QuickBooks, I used to feedback constantly saying, stop saying it files tax returns. We know which files. The man or woman on the street does not. They don't understand you're referring to VAT returns. They think you're talking about returns, because that is what impacts the majority of people that have to file any form of tax return.
Yeah.
And then the chili egg advert, still to this day, more than the Little People. And the Little People advert was one of their best adverts they've ever done. So yeah, like QuickBooks adverts are the vein of my life. Billy has said this was I was in practice as well. Should be worse, but at times it felt like we were undermined by it. All of our hard work was being undermined so that they could falsely sell their software for them. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it's such a like this comment completely. I feel like we're getting better at this. I think that the vendors have heard us moan enough and they've seen the damage that has happened. And I do feel like a lot of the time we're able to kind of push back on the vendors now and say this was tone deaf or that. And the advent of accounting councils and things like that, that's what that's designed to do, right? So I've noticed now Xero has an accounting council, Sage has an accounting council, QuickBooks obviously has an accounting council. A free agent will probably have one in very, very short amount of time, you can imagine. And that holds them accountable, right? Because then if there is a poor advert or anything like that, because without giving too much away in NDAs and stuff, from a QuickBooks point of view, that was one of the accounting council roles, was to review an ad before it went up, just to give some feedback and concept and how that worked. And that actually does bring a lot of benefit to them before they spend all that money on advertising. We can actually go through and give our feedback on it. So I feel like we're getting better, or the vendors are listening more to us. It's not perfect. It's nowhere near perfect, but hopefully in the UK at least, that's a thing in the past. Clearly in the US though, they're not listening. But I suppose, would they want to? At the end of the day, TurboTax is actually directly against the accountants now, isn't it, over there? So I suppose it's a whole different ballgame. They wouldn't want the accounting council getting involved, would they?
No, I mean, I don't think they have anything like that over in the US, do they?
They have
only product.
Yeah.
In the US, if I was on the accounting council, I'd feel very much that this is a token gesture. I mean, there was times in the UK I felt it was a token gesture. Like, they weren't really, they were listening and they were writing things down, but how much was actioned and how much was taken back, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was always dealt with. And our input was sought on various things. I don't think it was always, it was like, well, what do they know? Like, our input would be sought on, what do you think to this advert? And regardless of our input, the outcome was still the same.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, do we listen to the accountants and bookkeepers we've asked, or do we listen to the experts that are the marketing agency that probably haven't dealt with the industry before, but, we'll roll it out.
Yeah. In fairness, we now talk directly to the marketing agency, which is a better relationship, right? It's not, we're actually telling them that you can't have a puppy being massacred in the street because that's going to have a negative effect or whatever.
Didn't they? I can't believe they even thought that was I'm joking. Just to clarify, people, before we get sued, there was no advert about a puppy massacre.
Just to clarify. But yeah, no, that's it, though, isn't it? Like talking directly to the advertising agency as opposed to, you know, secondhand information being passed around. It's the better way to do it, isn't it? But yeah, I'm shocked that they even thought that this was going to be good. But the problem is, it was actually a really good concept. Like, as cheesy as the video is, it's very memorable. You know, it's a good.
If someone like Tax Assist or a big firm, a big branch of firms did an advert like that, then fair play to them, because that's all they're doing is they're competing with their like, this is Intuit kind of technically getting in our lane and causing us headaches. Like, if it was one of our competitors, then fine. Like,
and again, they are going to be in our lane. Like, we can't bury our head in the sand for much longer. They will be there. Like, all of them will. Xero, Sage, they'll all be there at some point, right? It's a way you do it. It's the approach of it, isn't it? It's offer the people a better experience, offer the user a better experience. Don't just try and undercut the professionals. Like, that's not how to win the hearts and mind of accountants, is it? It's about work with them. It's going to happen. Look, hands up, at some point we're not going to be needed to file every tax return and VAT return out there, because AI and everything else is going to do it for us, right? That's a reality.
Getting cancelled.
But that's a reality we've got to face, right? At some point. I'm not saying it's tomorrow or next year or 5 years or whenever it's going to be, but at some point, we as a profession are going to need to do more. We're going to have to add more value. We're going to have to be more business advisory. Everything that everyone's talking about is going to happen, but there's got to be a tasteful way to promote that from the vendors, and this was not it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Okay.
Paul's got one more comment.
Go. Plus, there are many people that need to file the tax returns that won't see the added benefits, like growing their business, because they are effectively hand-to-mouth.
Yeah. And then Ashley's
going to help the economy, as it were. Good morning to Ashley. What have you missed? Oh, Intuit.
Start from scratch.
Yeah, we'll just restart the intro. 33 minutes in, Ashley. It'll be fine. Watch it back.
No, Intuit's released a very distasteful advert over in this state, so I highly recommend you go and watch it and listen back.
Cool. Speaking of adverse media. Oh, hang on. Talking about Rachel says, talking about adverts, every time I click on social media, I get loads of adverts for one event, the Engager Labs, all great adverts. They're not paid for ads. That's just social media posts. That's just a very effective social media team. So we aren't paying for a single advert there. But speaking of adverse media, Zama has released a new update. Maybe Intuit need this. So Zama have released a new update to their AML platform, where they are monitoring PEPs, aka politically exposed people, and they've got a really cool way of actually going, how much of a risk is this? So Sir Keir Starmer's wife being related to a politician versus the local councillor's wife is a lower risk. Personally, in my mind, I think your local councillor and your parish councillors are probably at more risk of bribery than the Prime Minister, because they're the local councillor is the one that's going to vote yes or no for planning permission. Like, personally, I think that's a higher risk, but hey ho. But Zama have released a new PEPs and adverse media monitoring service. So I hope no one monitors me for adverse media, because they'll be getting daily updates saying he's said this again, he's done that again. But yeah, Aaron, thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's ongoing as well, isn't it? It's not just a click of the button and having to manually go and check each individual person, because you would have got this report anyway if you'd done one of the reviews on them anyway, wouldn't you? If you'd done like your onboarding review or your annual review or whatever time frame you were looking to do it, you would have had this come through already, wouldn't you, as a point? But this is because it's the beauty of this is because it's ongoing, isn't it? And then basically it's one less thing you need to worry about as a practice owner, which, The amount of red tape we've got at the moment, the amount of hoops we've got to jump through just to be able to deliver a tax return, let alone these softwares going and just doing it for us, you know what I mean? But yeah, the amount of red tape and everything we've got to go through, this is just a nice one less thing we need to worry about as such, isn't it? Because from what I remember, it's it, especially if you're on the subscription plan, it's really cost effective, and it just means that we'll just be alerted if there's any issues or problems. So loving it
with your AML procedures.
Yeah. And I wonder, is this something that maybe one day Engager could get involved in terms of the API links and stuff, and we could get it coming through to us? Is that a possibility, you reckon?
Jax and Marcus at Zama and myself are always in conversations. They've got lots of ideas what they would love to push into practice management tools. We've got lots of ideas what we'd like to receive. So watch this space.
Let's hope so. Yeah, because again, that's just one less thing for us to worry about, right? Like, I log into Engager and it tells me that Bob down the road's got adverse media against him now because he's getting himself cancelled. We can make a decision about what we do with that, right? And if we hadn't known about Bob having his adverse media issue, we wouldn't have known there was a decision to make. So this just makes our life easier, doesn't it?
Definitely does. Speaking of people that are used to adverse media, HMRC have done an update or released an update for us.
Smashing it with these
I'm on a roll today, aren't you? So HMRC have released two kind of press releases, two kind of updates for MTD. Yep. One is that Hammock and Free Agent have joined the MTD. It's not ITSA anymore, is it? They've changed it.
Yeah.
Is it called ITS now?
MTD it, which I don't think is. I don't think is a. I don't understand why drop it when it was like because it made it even more difficult to talk about now. MTD it, like at least ITSA was kind of there's this new thing about that. Now we've got MTD it. I don't know.
You're going to have to MTD it.
Hey, there we are. There's a marketing spend. Well done.
HMRC have announced that Free Agent and Hammock have joined the MTD IT beta program. So we can expect them to be rolling out beta testing very, very soon. And on top of that, they've announced multi-agency. Someone's finally convinced HMRC that clients can have more than one bookkeeper and/or accountant at a time, which means we both need access, not one or the other. I mean, I've not looked into the detail of that bit, but the fact that they're talking about it and they've recognized it now is a bonus. Have you read any more into that, Aaron?
Yeah, so the multi-agent one does seem a little bit restrictive. The main agent will have the full access, so that's what we already have now, so that's fine. A supporting agent is what they're going to call the secondary access. More limited access can submit in-year updates, but cannot make final declarations in self-assessment filings or view calculations. Multiple supporting agents are allowed for each taxpayer. So by the sounds of it, it's a read-only. No, not even read-only. It's a blind submission kind of.
So what we're saying is if you've got an accountant and a bookkeeper, the bookkeeper can submit quarterly returns for you. Your accountant can submit the final returns, but the person that you have the day-to-day working relationship and communication with, aka the bookkeeper, won't be able to see the calculations on the portal to communicate that to you.
No. And I don't understand the logic of that one.
On the other hand, they take it all away.
I mean, this must be pushback. They must have had pushback from people about, we can't give them too much access this multi-level. But what harm are they doing? I don't know. There's obviously something we're missing. There must be some situation where this makes absolute complete sense, and we're idiots for not thinking it through. But I don't know.
I'm gonna go on the assumption the idiots are on the other side of the table at HMRC because they don't understand this real life concept. Like, if you're in weekly communication with your bookkeeper, who are you going to ask? What was my tax return calculation, or etc.? Who are you going to, you're going to get a mortgage. Oh, I need to get my tax return calculation. You're going to ask your bookkeeper first.
Yeah, and they're just
And
going to have to push it up the road.
demeaning to the bookkeeper to turn around and go, I've not got the permission to see that, or I can't give you that. You need to go to your accountant, because all it is fetching records.
Yeah, and we haven't seen yet how this is going to be actually implemented, as in the request going to go through. I assume it's not the 648 process. It's going to be the new agent authority process, isn't it?
MTD agent authority. The one that gives you authority but not to speak to them.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
So that's going to be fun times for everyone, isn't it? Because you're going to get your client to have to log in twice, and then they're going to have to know the difference between a main agent and a non-main agent. And
I do not think this is a win for the bookkeeping community.
Oh, it's a win that they've got the recognition and that they're going to be needed to be involved.
It's a token gesture.
Yeah.
At best. Like, this is not the facility that bookkeepers and accountants need. No, it just isn't. It's a token gesture just to shut us up, basically, and go, look, we've got agency, multi-agency. It's like, I think I'd rather none than this, if I'm honest. Like, because what HMRC are doing with this is they are defining a difference between, well, that's your bookkeeper and that's your accountant, and we don't believe the bookkeeper should be trusted or see any of this, but your accountant can. And it's like, well, actually, there are a lot of bookkeepers are only bookkeepers because they don't offer accountant tax return services. Yeah, when in theory they could. Like, there's plenty of bookkeepers out there that do fantastic tax returns and stuff. But I don't know. I feel it's a very much a scrap off a table and a token gesture from HMRC. And yeah, I think they need to take it back and go, fair enough. We've made another mess up here.
Yeah. So the only scenario I can think where this kind of makes sense is, so for everyone who doesn't know, I actually got kicked off the MTD beta. It's a program.
Too complicated.
Too complicated, yeah. And the only reason I was too complicated because I had both sole trader and rental income. Now, not being funny, but that must be a very big proportion of the sole trader that's over the, was it now 35k, is it? I've just read it though, but yeah, it's 35k.
50K, isn't it?
50k, isn't it? Yeah, and 35 next year, or 25 next year. No, 35 next year, isn't it? But yeah, but if you have a mixture of, say, 10k rental and 40k sole trader, then you're over the threshold into the boom, boom, boom. Because I think one of the other things they updated was they clarified what qualifying income is, right, and how to work it out. That's one of their other updates. But yeah, I suppose this is where, in theory, for me, I would have had to use two different pieces of software, a rental software like Hammock and, an FMS solution like QuickBooks. And I would have had to have both of those working together. So does this solve that issue if you allowed multi-agents? Are you allowed finally to have multi-software? Because when first said it, you weren't allowed to have multiple software. It was a big no-no. It's like, why would you ever need, HMRC's words were, why would you ever need to have two pieces of software? You've only got one. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So is this for that situation where you might have one person do your rental income, one person doing your bookkeeping, and you don't really want that person to know? Maybe it's clutching at straws, but is that the reason? Like,
I don't know. I don't understand it. This was all released in fanfare, like, we've listened, we've taken on feedback, we've done this, and actually what you've done is created a headline with no substance behind it, as per usual.
Yep.
Yeah. If anybody knows anybody that sits in front of HMRC and they want me to stand there and rant at HMRC about this around at a table and explain their stupidity, please let me know. I'll volunteer my time. But do
we ever update your end about the MTD connection? Because that's been an ongoing saga, hasn't it? Has that ever fixed itself? The whole getting agent authentication via API and stuff.
Oh, it's all there. We're just waiting to be certified at Engager.
Oh, it's still down to certification, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, what I don't understand is the VAT MTD agent authorization API process has been live and working for 5 years.
And no one's used it.
No other practice management software or any other management software has gone and used it and built into it. So yeah, interesting. But we'll see. So yeah, Kirsty says, yay, multi-access, ICB had a hand in this. Kirsty, I think nice. ICB need to go back and kick some backsides at HMRC, because as much as they've had a hand in petitioning for this, someone's dumbed and watered down the overall outcome. Like, this is not constructive for any bookkeepers out there. Cheryl Stone saying it's just keeping us bookkeepers in our place completely. Like, it shouldn't be. Like, the only person that should have the right to decide what access and visibility you have of their records at HMRC is your client. Like, it shouldn't be HMRC telling you what you can and can't do. Rachel says, has this come from old school accountants? Well, it could be accounting governing bodies that have petitioned for this to be there but watered down, but we'll never know. So yeah, Carl, good morning to you. Kirsty hadn't realized the limitations. So yeah, Kirsty, I would go back to the team at ICB and say, look, it's not really a win, is it? Like, fair play to ICB, IAB, and all of them for campaigning to get this on the table and to get this discussed and recognize that it has to be done. But through no fault of their own, I'm sure, it's landed as a bit of a damp flannel and not really very useful.
I always get it wrong. Is it damp squid?
Damp squid, whatever it is, yeah.
I can't.
But speaking of something that hasn't landed like a damp squid and that has been a complete success, Engager Labs launched last week. Tickets opened to the pre-registration on Wednesday and then went to the general public on Friday. So how did it go? Well, very well. Within 3 minutes of opening our tickets to the to the pre-registered people, 10% of all of our spaces were gone. Like 3 minutes. We are like the oasis of the accounting world, right? That's what you compare it against these days, isn't it? Yeah. Within 90 minutes, 25% of our tickets were gone. And when I last checked on Friday evening, over 50% of our tickets are gone for this event already, which is phenomenal. Like, it's just blown us away. So thank you to everyone that's booked your tickets. It is a free event, but you do have to have tickets for each individual person that you will be attending, just so we can control numbers. And if you've not got a ticket, we'll probably let you have a queue or a spectators point outside where you can wave at people that are going. And
fan zone. That's what you want.
Yeah, we'll have a fan zone. Might put a TV out there or something. But yeah, hugely successful. And you can now see who our speakers are, or our first wave of speakers are on our website. So if you want to find out more about Engager Labs, visit engager.app/labs25. He says, typing it in, because I'm not ready for this. All of these quick links, and I'm not even there. So Engager Labs is a day completely focused on practice management. Don't care what practice management software you're using. Every speaking session will deliver insights that you can take and apply to any practice, regardless of practice management solutions. But obviously, it'd probably be easier to apply the insights in Engager and more powerful. But we've got a fantastic list of speakers already, and the headline sponsor for the event is Adfin. We announced our partnership with them a few weeks back at Accountex Manchester. So very excited to see what they bring to the table ready for this event. And you can also see all of our exhibitors on our website as so far. We're still in talks with a few. We're still talking to a few speakers, but we've got a really cool lineup, including, can you all remember going, was it during COVID or after COVID? Then you used to go around and you saw like the bus stop posters and the big billboard posters where it was a picture of someone's diary and there was a 2-finger Kit Kat bar saying take a break.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Right. The guy who runs the business that created that, marketing genius, is one of our speakers.
Amazing.
So if he can't give you an idea of how to use social media and marketing to improve your firm, who can? So yeah, looking forward to hearing from him. So that's Nick Entwistle, Karen Rayburn from We Are PF, website social media genius, Tom Pope from Adfin. We've got Jonathan from Buddy HR talking as well. Amy Copeland from the ICB will be there speaking on the day.
Nice.
Gareth Solomon from Xenon Connect. Ariona will be there talking about digitalizing and modernizing your practice management and your practice in general. Joe Woods will be there as well on, I won't give it away yet, but a new topic, which is very interesting. So we'll see what said there. And then you're there, Aaron.
I am.
Speaking as well, which will be good, along with myself and the Engager team. And we are still in discussions with a few other speakers, so watch this space. But yeah, exhibitors wise, we've got Xenon, we've got Outbooks, Apron, Tax Essential for Advisors, ICB, Armalytics, Client Window, Tax Calc, Zama, Buddy, PF, and Free Agent so far. It's going to be a good day.
And they've got like a little exhibitor space, haven't they? And
yeah, they've got proper exhibitor stands, so you can go meet them, talk to them about their products, talk to them about their services. All focus, as I say, on improving your practice and its processes and systems. So really looking forward to this. I did wake up Saturday morning or Sunday morning having had a bit of a nightmare about Engager Labs and not many people turning up and some really dull speakers. Then I realized none of it was true, so it was fine. But
it's coming together, isn't it?
What are we away? What are we 5 or 6 months away, and I'm already having nightmares about it? That's concerning, but hey ho.
It's 127 days, 0 hours, 36 minutes, and 28 seconds.
Yeah, that's 126 sleeps of nightmares. Of no one turning up. But yeah, no, the tickets have been phenomenally popular. I think we were hoping like 25% would be gone by the end of next week. So to be 50% within days is just phenomenal.
Yeah. And the event space looks wicked as well, right? Like that's where I was for Labour conference.
Yeah.
We were around that area for when we went to the golf, weren't we? We kind of had a little wander around that area. It's I think it's going to be I think the event space itself just looks cool and inviting. So that'd be wicked. That'd be cool. And I'm sure the exhibitors will have stuff to talk about as well. Didn't Client Window release a new update the other day? Then they got read receipts or something coming through.
Yeah,
so
Client Window got the 2 blue ticks now. And yeah, look, we are in talks with lots of the exhibitors about announcements to be made at labs. So definitely watch this space. There'll be plenty of news coming from labs, both in partnerships and integrations with ourselves and our roadmaps coming up, but also just from our exhibitors announcing what they've got coming up, because it's the start of the year. It's a good time to go, right, you've just got rid of your tax season, you're looking forward, you've now got a bit more time to look at solutions and options. Here's what we've got to offer.
I love it. And I'm sure we'll do a grid walk as well. So anyone who can't actually make it, then they'll be able to see it. But I think you need to be there in person for this one. This is a must come to event.
I would like to think so. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Really, minus the nightmares. I can't wait. So just going back to the community quickly. Cheryl Stoner says, at least when the accountant changes things without reference to the bookkeeper, they won't be able to blame us. Oh, I don't know.
Well, yeah, maybe. We get the tone, Chell. We get the tone, but yeah, maybe.
Paul Whitehouse says, forgot the important question. What's on the food menu? What's on the menu food-wise? There will be catering in the venue, from sandwiches through to cooked meals, and there will be absolutely tons of stuff. So the event space is in the Liverpool Dockyards, which is just a phenomenal space for food and drink in general. If you're staying in Liverpool at any time for any reason, the Dockyards is a great place to stay. It's really, like, you and I have stayed there. It's a fantastic place for lots of choice.
Pizza Express in there, just on the corner.
Yep. So yeah. Right.
Byron Burger actually is only a short 5-minute walk away. So
it is.
That's my recommendation for you.
Right, Aaron, we've been putting these 2 articles off for blooming weeks, so we better cover the next.
We haven't got time. Let's go straight for that one.
Okay. iPad Mini got announced last week for release on Wednesday. Have you got one on order, Aaron?
We'll talk about why, but no. But you have, though. You do the positives first. Go tell people why you're excited.
I've got my iPad Pro and I love it, and it's great as a laptop replacement when I'm out and about. But I like to have a note-taking instrument with me as well. And a lot of the time I'm taking notes, it's because I'm referring to numbers and stuff on the screen on the iPad. So switching between, it's not convenient with my lack of memory for numbers. So I like to have a separate device for my notes and stuff, and for quickly replying to emails and stuff like that. And I've got the iPad Air. It's just a bit too big for it. It's not pocketable. It's So I have ordered the new iPad Mini because I used to have one. It got a couple of years old and the battery started letting me down. So I replaced it with the iPad Air. Mistake, I should have just replaced it with another iPad Mini. I thought the larger screen would be a benefit. It wasn't. And actually, it's more cumbersome than I would have hoped for. So yeah, if you've already got a laptop and stuff and you don't want a big iPad Mini is a fantastic device. The iPad Air I've got also, it works on the old Pencil, and once you've used their new Apple Pencil Pro with the squeezy feedback thing, which squeeze it and it changes utility tools and stuff, you can't go back to the old Pencil. I found that this whole tapping malarkey, it's for heathens. I'm completely converted to the new Pencil. I absolutely love it, and I love the feel of using it.
And that hover feature is actually brilliant as well. I thought that was going to be a massive gimmick, but you hover over where you want to go and a shadow appears. So you just feel like you're going to be more precise with where,
feel more in control.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. So I have ordered the iPad Mini. It arrives on Wednesday, the 23rd. So I'm looking forward to getting that and going back to my old productive ways of having 2 devices and not feeling like it's too big a device or anything like that. But I'll be the first to say it's not a massive improvement in technology. It's not a massive step forwards, which I think is probably the main reason you've not gone for it, Aaron, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. I still have my old one. Yeah, my battery's dead on it as well. In fact, not only my battery dead, but I've lost my Touch ID on mine as well because I got a bit of water in there at Silverstone one year. So yeah, it's gone through the ringer. But it's still there. I just feel like the iPad Mini has always been one of those ones where it's almost like Apple are reluctant. There's enough other people who want it. There's enough people who like it and see the benefit of it, but they're almost reluctant to release it. It's like, why, you've got an iPhone, you've got an iPad. Why do you want this device that sits in the middle almost? I just feel like, the fact that it wasn't as part of an event, it was just a press release. Features that I was hoping for was things like maybe Face ID, just to make it be able to unlock quicker, things like that didn't appear. For me, if it had MagSafe on, it would have been an absolute win straight out the back, because there's that frustration at the moment where I can't charge it and plug something else in it at the same time. So yeah, I think it's a me problem. I think the device itself, highly recommend it to people. I think having an iPad Mini is a really, really good use of that form factor. I think it's brilliant to have that note taking tool that you just take everywhere with you. And yeah, I mean, when I'm using it, I love it. I think it's a brilliant device. But I just didn't. Yeah, I just was disappointed that this was the only update that it had. I was really looking forward to a big beefy let's take iPad Mini seriously again. And unfortunately, I don't feel like they did that. So it's a shame, but yeah, that is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. But yeah, at least yours comes soon, so you'll be able to say how excited you are and see it all and put it all in. So yeah, good fun.
Highlight of the week. It's always a good day when you get an Apple delivery.
Yeah, and there's still fingers crossed. We're talking about fair, weren't we? That we may still get an event by the end of the year, and I think there's enough cool bits to talk about if that does happen. So fingers crossed for that.
Definitely. Right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us as always on our weekly live show. It's always a pleasure to have the community commenting and feeding back, and hopefully Kirsty will hopefully go away and speak to the ICB now and just go, the fight's not over. We've won the battle. We haven't won the war. We need to go and continue lobbying for the right access that we need. So I feel like we've actually done some good today rather than just two guys rambling on a Monday morning. But yeah, thank you very much.
Our CPD points.
Yes. Thank you to everyone that's joined us this week. As always, we'll be back next week at 8:30 with our Ask the Accountant live show. And keep an eye out. There's lots of the podcast pit stop interviews being dropped throughout the weeks at the moment. So keep checking those out. Some great guests on there. Aaron, what have you got ahead this week?
Thankfully, it's a quieter week. I'm really looking forward to it. Staying home all week, just getting work done, getting some bits done that's been long overdue. So yeah, really look forward to just getting back in the practice, doing it properly, going from there. What about yourself?
Yeah. Oh, I'm starting to visit Engager users in their offices.
Ooh.
So looking forward to seeing how they're using it, getting some feedback, some observational feedback as well, and using that to improve the product. We're starting to have a bit more of a focus on that at the moment. So like the term deadlines has been replaced with jobs because it's less intimidating and in your face. And we're having a look at various bits that we've been doing for quite a while, where it's just a change of terminology or that felt painful and clunky to get to that part of the screen. Can we improve it? That type of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to my first visit this week. I will report back next week on that.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, just continuing to change the practice management world whilst supporting my own team within On Point Accounting. So yeah, busy as always. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody that's joined us. We will see you all again next week. Aaron, are you ready to press the one button you've got to press now?
One button, that's all I need. One button. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Goodbye.